The cry in the jungle. Thick fog wrapped around the tall alien trees. Strange glowing plants lit the jungle floor in blue and green. The air was hot and wet. Every step felt heavy. Jack Morgan, a human explorer, moved slowly through the wild jungle. He had come to this planet, Lurex 9, to study plants, but today felt different. The forest was too quiet. He paused. His boots crushed soft moss. The only sound was his own breath. He looked up. Something moved in the mist. A shadow. Then it happened. "Help! Help my mom!" A high-pitched voice screamed. Jack froze. It wasn't a bird. It wasn't a jungle beast. It was a child, and not a human one. He turned toward the sound. "Hello?" he called out. "Who's there?" Another cry. "Please, someone! She's trapped! She can't move!" Jack ran through the thick vines and bushes. Branches scratched his arms. Bugs buzzed past his face. The cry grew louder, and then he saw him. A small alien boy, maybe 6 or 7 years old, stood shaking behind a tree. His eyes glowed a soft yellow. His skin was a pale purple, covered in dust. He wore only a torn cloth around his waist. Tears ran down his cheeks. Jack slowly stepped closer. "Hey, I'm human, I won't hurt you." The boy looked up. "Please, my mom is hurt. A trap got her, she's bleeding." "Where is she?" Jack asked quickly. The child grabbed Jack's hand with his tiny fingers. "This way." Jack followed, dodging roots and ducking under low branches. The boy moved fast, barefoot but sure. The jungle got darker. Strange sounds came from the trees, clicks, hisses, growls. After a few minutes, they reached a small clearing. Jack's eyes widened. She lay there. An alien woman, taller than Jack, lay on the ground. Her leg was caught in a sharp, cruel snare, made of metal and bone. Blood soaked the ground. Her breathing was slow. Her eyes, gold like her son's, blinked weakly. "Mom!" The boy cried and ran to her side. He touched her face. She gave a faint smile. Jack rushed over. "I can help," he said softly. The woman looked at him. Her lips barely moved. "Human?" she whispered. "Yes. I'm here to help. Stay still." Jack examined the trap. It was old, but dangerous. The metal claws had dug deep into her leg. Poison oozed from the wound. The trap was still active, ready to snap again if touched wrong. Jack opened his bag and pulled out a toolkit. He wiped sweat from his brow. "I need you to hold still, okay?" he said to her. She nodded weakly. "The knife." Boy knelt beside her, holding her hand tightly. "Don't let her die, please." Jack worked fast but careful. He cut vines, blocked pressure triggers, and slowly loosened the trap. But it was not easy. The snare had alien parts he didn't fully understand. Suddenly, a sharp click echoed. Jack's eyes shot open. A second mechanism hidden below snapped upward, aiming straight at him. He jumped back just in time. The second blade missed his face by inches and sliced the air. "Damn it," he muttered. The boy screamed, "It's going to kill her!" "No, it won't," Jack said, voice steady. "Not today." He took a deep breath, reached under the main frame of the trap and jammed a steel rod into the gears. It stopped. Slowly, the pressure lessened. The blades opened. She was free. Jack gently pulled her leg out and bandaged it with cloth from his pack. "The wound is deep," he told the boy. "And the poison's spreading. She needs help soon." The woman groaned, her skin now cold and pale. "Can she walk?" the boy asked. Jack shook his head. "No, I'll carry her." He lifted her carefully. She was light but tall. Her body was burning with fever. The boy followed closely. As they turned to leave, a growl came from the trees behind them. Jack stopped. The boy gasped. From the shadows, yellow eyes stared back. A large creature moved forward, four-legged, furred, with long claws and thick fangs. A jungle predator. It had smelled the blood. Jack tightened his grip on the alien woman. "We have to move," he whispered. The boy clutched Jack's leg. "It's one of the hunters." "What?" "It hunts everything. It likes blood." Jack didn't wait to ask more. He ran, holding the woman tight. The boy sprinted beside him. Branches snapped behind them. The beast was chasing. Leaves tore. The air filled with growls and heavy footsteps. The jungle closed in again. And deep inside, the alien woman whispered in pain, "Don't let him eat my son." Jack ran through the alien jungle with the injured woman in his arms. Her blood had soaked into his shirt. Behind him, the jungle beast roared again, crashing through trees, getting closer. The little alien boy ran beside him, breathing hard, his small feet thudding against the forest floor. They didn't have much time. Jack spotted a low ridge ahead and ran toward it. Thick roots and large glowing mushrooms grew around the rocks. He slipped through a narrow gap and found a small cave. It was just big enough for all three of them. "In here," he said. The boy crawled in first and Jack followed, laying the alien woman gently on the cave floor. She groaned, her breathing shallow. Her leg was badly swollen and already turning dark purple. The poison from the trap was spreading fast. The creature outside sniffed loudly, pacing around the ridge. Then it roared again, loud and long. The sound echoed through the trees. It was angry. It knew they were close. Jack put his finger to his lips and the boy nodded quietly. The creature snarled one last time, then slowly walked away. But Jack knew it wasn't gone for good. He turned his focus back to the woman. She was burning, with fever. Her eyes barely opened now. The snare had nearly cut through her muscles. Her leg might not survive. And neither would she, unless he acted quickly. Jack opened his kit. He only had a small field med pack, some gauze, a bit of anti-venom, made for humans, not aliens. No one ever expected this kind of mission. "Please don't let my mom die," the boy whispered, tears in his eyes. Jack looked at the boy. "I'll try my best. What's your name?" "Cale," the boy said quietly. "Cale, I'm Jack. I'm going to do everything I can." He pulled out a blade and a fire stick. "I need to clean the wound," he told Cale. "It'll hurt her. She might scream." "She won't," Kyle said, wiping his tears. "She's strong." Jack, carefully, cut the cloth from her leg. Her flesh was torn badly. He used clean water to rinse it, then lit the fire stick and heated the blade. The boy looked away, covering his ears. Jack pressed the hot metal against her wound to burn out the infection. The alien woman jerked slightly, her mouth opening in a silent cry. But she didn't scream. She gritted her teeth and stayed silent, even through the pain. "She really is strong," Jack whispered. He wrapped the leg tightly in bandages and then carefully injected a small dose of human anti-venom. He had no idea if it would help. Maybe it would kill her faster. But doing nothing would surely kill her too. Hours passed slowly. The jungle outside grew darker. Strange howls echoed in the distance. Kyle sat quietly, watching his mother, holding her hand, whispering to her in his alien language. Jack stayed alert, checking the entrance with his small light and knife in hand. Finally, the woman stirred. Her eyes opened slightly. Her lips moved. "Why did you help me?" she asked weakly. Jack looked at her and replied softly, "Because your son asked me to, and because I couldn't leave you there." She stared at him. "Humans don't help our kind." "Well, this one does." She blinked. A tear slipped from her eye. "Thank you," Kyle smiled. "She's awake. You saved her." But just then, a sound came from outside, different from the beast's growl. It was the sound of metal clinking, of boots, of voices. Jack stiffened. Kyle's face turned pale. "Oh no. Not them." "Who?" Jack asked. "The ones who set the trap. The hunters. They're back." Jack crept to the edge of the cave and peeked through the gap. He saw 3 figures moving through the jungle. Tall, armored aliens with long rifles and sharp armor. They were looking around. Searching. "They called my mom practice meat," Kyle said. "They hunt families like us. For fun." Jack clenched his jaw. Not anymore, they won't. He turned back to Cale and the woman. We need to move. Now. But she can't walk, Cale said. Then I'll carry her again. He lifted her gently. She was lighter now, almost too light. Her body was weak, but her hand found his arm and she held on. Cale grabbed a vine from the cave wall and wrapped it around his waist like a belt. I'll watch your back. Jack nodded, a small smile forming. You're brave, little warrior. They stepped out into the jungle once more, hiding behind trees, moving fast and quiet. But behind them, the hunters had already picked up the trail. The jungle was darker now. A thick mist curled between the trees like a sleeping beast. Above, the pale moon cast long silver rays across the alien plants. Strange, glowing flowers lit the path with soft blue and green light. Every sound echoed, louder in the night, every crack of a twig, every breath. Jack moved carefully, the alien mother in his arms. Her body felt too warm. The poison still flowed in her veins. She clung weakly to his shirt. Cale followed closely, his small hands gripping a sharp stick like a weapon, his eyes alert. They were being hunted. Behind them, the sound of armor brushing leaves, deep alien voices, and the faint buzz of high-tech scanners filled the air. The hunters were near. Jack had seen their faces. Cold. Cruel. Like they didn't see people. Just prey. We need to lose them, Jack whispered. Cale nodded. There's a stream nearby. If we walk through water, they might lose our scent. Good thinking. They reached the stream within minutes. Its dark water ran fast and cold, reflecting the moonlight like glass. Jack stepped in first, boots splashing softly. Kyle helped balance the mother's weight from one side. Together, they moved upstream, following the curve of the water between high rocks and dense ferns. For a while it was quiet. Then came the sharp zap of a scanner beam cutting across the jungle. They're close, Jack muttered. Suddenly, Cale froze, his ears perked up, listening. What is it? Jack asked. Cale pointed ahead. That's not just water. I hear a growl. Jack paused. He heard it too now, a low, deep sound. Not the hunters. Something else. Out of the thick brush ahead stepped a creature. It was large, larger than anything Jack had seen on this planet. Its body was like a reptile mixed with a cat, with sharp spines along its back. Its mouth opened, showing glowing fangs. It had smelled blood. Cale gasped. It's a Moonstalker. Jack slowly lowered the alien woman behind a rock. Stay, behind me. The beast stepped closer, growling louder, sniffing the air. Its eyes glowed white. Jack raised his arms. Easy, buddy. I don't taste good. He had one flare left in his belt. He took it out carefully, not blinking. The beast hissed. Jack lit the flare and threw it to the side. Whoosh! The flare exploded in bright red light. The beast shrieked and leaped backward, blinded by the sudden flash. In those few seconds, Jack grabbed the woman and ran. Cale followed, panting, heart racing. They climbed up a steep hill. At the top, the jungle opened into a field of white moss. A ruined structure stood in the middle, an old alien building, cracked and broken, but still standing. In there, Cale pointed. Jack rushed inside, laying the mother down gently on a flat stone surface. The building smelled like old dust and burnt wires. Strange symbols glowed on the walls. We're safe. For now, Cale whispered. But Jack knew the hunters weren't far behind. He could already hear the faint humming of their weapons. He had bought them minutes, nothing more. The alien woman stirred. Her eyes opened, weak and glassy. Where are we? Jack leaned down. Some kind of ruin. You're safe. But just for now. She tried to sit up but groaned in pain. They're coming. They always come back. Not this time, Jack said firmly. He looked at Cale. We need a plan. Fast. Cale walked around the broken wall and pointed. There's a tunnel. Here. It leads under the jungle. My mother once told me it was an escape path from long ago. Jack helped the woman up. She winced but didn't cry out. She leaned on Jack's shoulder as Cale led the way down into the tunnel. It was dark, cold, and filled with dust. Broken lights flickered overhead. Strange vines grew through the cracks in the wall. They walked in silence. Every footstep echoed. Behind them, the sound of hunters grew louder. Voices shouted in their alien language. Jack didn't understand the words, but he understood the tone. Anger, hunger, triumph. They thought they were close. Suddenly, Cale stopped. The tunnel splits here. One way leads to the cliffs and the other to the village ruins. Which is safer? Jack asked. Cale's voice shook. Neither. But the cliffs are high. They'll think no one would go there. Then that's where we go. They turned left, heading toward the cliffs. As they climbed the narrow stone path, the air grew colder. Wind howled outside. Jack peeked out the tunnel mouth and saw the vast alien valley below. Stars twinkled above. It looked peaceful, but he knew death was just steps behind. He turned back and helped the woman sit on a ledge. She was barely conscious now. Cale sat beside her, holding her hand. Jack pulled out his flare gun. Only one shot. If they come, he said, I won't let them take you. Cale looked up. Why are you helping us? Jack didn't answer right away. He stared at the stars and finally said, because someone should. The wind at the top of the cliff screamed like a wild animal. It bit at Jack's skin and tugged at his clothes. He stood near the entrance of the small cave, flare gun in hand, eyes locked on the jungle below. Somewhere down there, the hunters were still coming. He could feel it. Inside the cave, Kyle sat beside his mother, gently wiping her forehead with a piece of cloth. Her skin was cold and clammy now, her leg was swollen. Her breath came in weak gasps. Is she getting worse? Jack asked, stepping back into the cave. Kyle nodded slowly, tears filling his glowing yellow eyes. The poison. It's deep now. Her body is shaking. Jack knelt down beside her and checked her pulse. It was faint. Too faint. She needs more help than I can give, Jack muttered. I have to find something, herbs, medicine, anything. But then he noticed something odd about the cave. Bones. They were everywhere, piled in the corners, scattered across the floor. Long curved bones and small broken ones, all bleached white. Some still had rusted cuffs on them. Cale stared too. This isn't just a cave. Jack stood, his stomach twisting. It's a hunting den. The bones were from past victims, alien families, maybe ones like Cale and his mother. This was where the hunters brought the ones who couldn't run anymore. A chill ran down his spine. Suddenly, a low whistle echoed in the wind outside. It was sharp, rhythmic, not natural. Jack moved to the entrance and looked out. He saw them. 4 hunters, tall, armored. Their faces were covered with masks shaped like beasts. They held long rifles and cruel nets. They were climbing the cliff, slowly checking every ledge. They had tracked them again. Jack turned to Cale. We can't stay here. But where do we go? Jack scanned the back wall of the cave and noticed a crack just wide enough for a person to squeeze through. There. He led Cale and helped him carry his mother through the narrow opening. The crack opened into a tight tunnel that went deeper into the rock. The walls were covered in old carvings, symbols of flight, stars, and strange creatures. It's part of the old escape paths, Kyle said softly. The ancestors built them. They moved quickly, deeper and deeper until they reached a fork. Jack stopped. Which way? Cale pointed left. That leads to the hollow trees. There's an old healer's hut there. Maybe there's something we can use. Jack nodded. Let's go. But as they moved, a loud metal clang rang through the tunnel. Behind them, a hunter had entered the cave. Jack turned and shouted, "Run!" They ran through the winding stone tunnel. Jack carried the woman again, his muscles burning, breath heavy. The sound of the hunter's footsteps echoed closer. They reached the exit, an opening behind thick tree roots. Jack pushed Cale out first, then slid the woman through and finally rolled out himself. They were in a forest of hollow trees. Some had openings like windows. Others were filled with glowing dust. It looked like no one had lived here in years. Cale pointed to one with moss on the side. That one, the healer lived there long ago. Jack rushed inside. The tree was dry and hollow inside. Old bottles and herbs lined the walls. A table stood in the middle, and on it, miraculously, was a small, glowing blue vial. Kyle gasped. "It's heartroot liquid. That heals poison." Jack uncorked the vial and gently tilted it into the alien woman's mouth. She coughed weakly and swallowed. Kyle held her hand. "Please, Mom, come back." Jack stood at the entrance again, aiming his flare gun at the forest path. Footsteps came. Heavy, slow. The hunter appeared, tall, armored, holding a long blade. Jack didn't wait. He fired. Phoom! The flare hit the hunter in the chest, exploding, in bright fire. The creature screamed and staggered back, falling into a patch of dry roots that caught fire instantly. The forest lit up in flames. Jack grabbed a blanket from the floor and smothered the doorway. Smoke filled the air. The fire spread quickly. "We have to leave now," Jack shouted. He lifted the mother again. Kyle helped, and they rushed away from the burning tree as it collapsed behind them. They didn't stop running until the fire was far behind. Finally, they reached a small clearing. The woman stirred in Jack's arms. Her breathing was stronger. Her eyes opened. She looked up at Jack, then at Cale. "You kept me alive." Cale smiled through tears. "He did. The human saved us." She looked at Jack, her voice hoarse. "Why, did you fight for strangers?" Jack gave a tired smile. "Because no one else would." The sky above them turned a dull red as the sun began to rise over the horizon. Smoke still curled in the air behind them from the burning healer's tree. Jack, Cale, and the recovering alien woman sat in a patch of tall grass near a quiet spring. The water was clear, and the early light made it shimmer like glass. The woman's fever had gone down. Her breath was calm now. The heartroot medicine had worked. Kyle sat beside her, holding her hand like he had never let go. "You're going to be okay now, right?" he whispered. She smiled faintly, brushing his hair back. "Thanks to you, and him." Jack crouched nearby, sharpening a broken metal spear he had found in the forest ruins. His eyes kept scanning the tree line. He couldn't relax. "They won't give up," Jack said. "They'll be back." The alien woman nodded slowly. "They won't stop until they take me again. I was meant to die in their games." Jack clenched his jaw. "Not happening." Kyle stood. "Then let's keep moving. Let's find somewhere they can't follow." But before anyone could move, a cold, sharp sound cut through the air. "Wire, click." Jack spun around. From the forest edge, thin beams of red light appeared. Scanners. The hunters had found them. 3 figures stepped out from the trees. Their armor glinted. Their faces were hidden behind curved metal masks shaped like fanged beasts. They held nets, shock spears, and long-barreled rifles. One of them pointed at Jack. "You stole our prey," the hunter growled in a deep, echoing voice. "Now you'll all die." Cale stepped in front of his mother. "You can't take her again." The hunter laughed cruelly. "She was bought, marked. Her life belongs to us." Jack stepped forward, raising the crude spear. "She belongs to no one." The hunter raised his rifle and fired. Jack pushed Cale aside and dove into the tall grass. The shot missed, barely. He rolled and sprang up, throwing the spear. It hit the hunter's armor but bounced off harmlessly. Another hunter stepped forward, swinging a shock whip. Jack ducked as the whip cracked, just inches above his head. The ground shook under heavy footsteps as all 3 closed in fast. Jack grabbed Cale's hand. "Run! Take your mother, run!" Kyle helped to lift her as she limped forward. Her leg was still weak, but she forced herself to move. Jack stayed behind, grabbing a broken branch and swinging it wildly to keep the hunters back. One hunter caught the branch mid-swing and snapped it in half. He punched Jack hard, sending him crashing to the ground. The world spun for a moment. Jack's head throbbed. Dirt filled his mouth. "Humans are weak," the hunter spat. Jack coughed, stood up, and smiled bitterly. Not the good ones. The hunters raised their weapons to finish him, but then came the howl. A deep, powerful roar echoed from the forest. The hunters paused. Something was coming. The bushes behind the hunters exploded with movement. Out charged the Moonstalker Jack had scared off with the flare. But this time it wasn't afraid. It was furious. The beast slammed into the nearest hunter, tossing him into the air like a doll. Bones cracked. The second hunter turned to shoot, but was too slow. The creature's claws ripped through his armor. Jack didn't waste a second. He ran toward Cale and the woman who had stopped to watch in horror. "Don't look back," Jack shouted. "Go, now." They moved again, deeper into the woods. The last hunter fired a wild shot that burned past Jack's shoulder, but the beast tackled him before he could aim again. Screams echoed behind them. By the time they reached the riverbank, the sounds had faded. Jack fell to his knees, panting, blood on his lip. The woman collapsed beside him, exhausted. Kyle stared at both of them, eyes wide. That thing saved us?" Jack nodded slowly. "Guess even monsters hate hunters." The woman looked at Jack. "Why do you fight so hard? You don't even know us." Jack met her eyes. "I didn't have a family. Not anymore. But now, maybe I do." Cale hugged him without a word. The woman smiled, weak but warm. "Then you stay with us?" Jack looked at them both. "Yes, I'm not leaving." From the trees behind them, the sun broke through the branches at last, and for the first time since Cale had cried out in the jungle, there was peace. The quiet didn't last long. Hours had passed since the Moonstalker attacked the hunters. The sun rose high above the alien trees, casting golden light over the land. Jack, Cale, and the injured alien mother had followed the river, hoping it would lead to safety. But Jack's gut told him something was wrong. He wasn't done fighting. Not yet. They reached a calm area beside the river. Smooth stones lined the bank, and strange, colorful birds sang from high branches. The mother rested under a large tree, while Kyle refilled a small container with water. Jack stood nearby, sharpening a piece of jagged metal into a blade. He had found it beside the burnt healer's hut. It was part of an old hunter's weapon. Now, it would become his. Cale looked up. "Are we safe now?" Jack didn't answer right away. He stared at the jungle behind them, then slowly shook his head. "No." Cale's shoulders dropped. "But we beat them." Jack narrowed his eyes. "We survived. That's not the same." He was right. From the shadows beyond the trees, another group of hunters had arrived. Larger, better armed. These weren't just the ones who chased them. These were the ones who gave the orders. They had watched from a distance, and now they moved closer. Suddenly, a loud, unnatural voice echoed across the river. "Human, surrender the marked female. You have broken hunter law." Jack stepped in front of the alien woman and Cale. "She's not going with you." The voice answered coldly. "Then all of you will die." 5 hunters appeared from the trees. Their armor was dark red. They wore long black capes, and their masks looked like skulls. One of them carried a weapon that buzzed with energy, some kind of electrostaff. Another held a wide-bladed axe made of alien crystal. Cale gripped Jack's leg, terrified. The mother struggled. "To sit up," Jack whispered to her. "Stay behind me. Don't move." She looked at him with fear. "You can't fight them all." Jack didn't blink. "Watch me." The lead hunter charged first, swinging the electrostaff. Jack dodged to the side, barely missing the crackling strike. He slashed with his homemade blade, cutting a line across the hunter's leg. The alien growled and struck again. This time, Jack ducked and drove the blade into a weak spot near the armor joint. Sparks flew. The hunter dropped the staff and fell with a Heavy thud, one down. The other hunters moved together. Jack grabbed a burning stick from the fire and used it like a torch, waving it wildly. Flames made them hesitate for a moment. Then the one with the crystal axe stepped forward. He threw the axe fast, too fast. Jack caught it, barely, with his arm, and it sliced into his flesh. He groaned in pain but didn't fall. Instead, he grabbed the axe from the ground, blood dripping down his hand, and turned it against them. With a wild roar, Jack charged. He fought like a beast, swinging, slashing, never backing away. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't trained, but he had something stronger than technique. He had rage. He had a reason. Each time the hunters struck him, he stood back up. Each time they cut him, he hit back harder. His arms burned. His vision blurred. But he didn't stop. Because behind him was a child who still needed his mother. Because in front of him stood the monsters who turned families into sport. Kyle shouted from the side, "Jack, behind you!" Jack turned just in time to block a dagger, aimed at his back. He punched the hunter in the mask, cracking it. The alien staggered. Jack didn't wait. He tackled him to the ground and used the axe to end it. 3 more came at once. Jack gritted his teeth, and then a scream came from the trees. Not Kale, the alien woman. She had stood up, barely able to walk, and picked up the fallen electrostaff. She charged toward one of the hunters and stabbed it in the side. The weapon exploded with energy. The hunter dropped to the ground, convulsing. Another one turned to strike her, but Jack hurled the axe like a spinning blade. It struck the hunter's neck and knocked him down. Only one remained. He stared at Jack, breathing heavily. "You don't belong here. She was born to die for our sport." Jack stepped forward, bloodied and burned, but standing tall. "She was born to live. Same as you." And then he punched the hunter so hard the mask shattered. The hunter fell. The jungle was quiet. Again, Jack turned, swaying from exhaustion. Kyle ran to him, hugging him tight. "You did it. You saved her." The alien woman dropped the electrostaff and limped to Jack's side. She looked at his wounds. "You need healing now." Jack smiled, barely able to stay on his feet. "I'll be fine." She touched his face gently. "No human has ever fought for us like this. You're not just a man." Jack chuckled. "Just a very angry one." And then finally his knees gave out, and everything went dark. The sunlight filtered through the canopy above, warm and gentle. A soft breeze moved the tall grass. Birds chirped. The jungle felt alive again, but peaceful this time. Jack woke up slowly. His body hurt. Every muscle screamed. His arm was tightly wrapped in thick bandages, and his chest ached with each breath, but he was alive. He opened his eyes and saw Kale sitting beside him, watching with wide, relieved eyes. "You're awake," the boy said, almost crying. I thought you weren't coming back." Jack gave a weak smile. "I'm too stubborn to die." Kale laughed, wiping his face. "You saved us. You saved my mom." Jack turned his head and saw her, not lying down this time. She stood a few steps away, leaning on a thick branch for support. Her wounds had healed enough for her to walk. She looked at Jack with quiet wonder. "You were unconscious for 2 days," she said softly. "We kept you warm. I used what little I knew to help you recover." Jack tried to sit up, groaning. "What happened to the hunters?" "They didn't return," she said. "After what you did, I think they're afraid of you now." Jack chuckled, then winced. "Good. Let them be." They rested there, near the river, for a little longer. Jack drank water and ate some of the strange jungle fruits Kale had gathered. His strength was slowly coming back. But the woman, whose name he still didn't know, walked to him and sat beside him on the grass. "My name is Sarah," she said. Jack nodded. "Sarah, it's a good name." She looked down. "You gave us everything. Your blood, your strength, your fire." He looked into her golden eyes. "No one should have to live like prey." Her hand gently touched his. "You gave me back my son's future." Jack looked at Cale, who was busy tossing pebbles into the water and smiling for the first time in days. I don't have a place to go, Jack said. No ship, no mission anymore. But if I stay, if I protect you both, would that be all right? Sarah's eyes softened. If you stay, you'd become family. Jack didn't speak for a moment. Then he said, I've never had a family like this, but maybe I was meant to find it here. Suddenly, Cale shouted, Look! They turned and saw smoke rising far in the distance, thin, clean smoke, not from fire or battle. It was from chimneys. There's a human outpost that way, Jack said. A small one. I passed near it days ago. Maybe 2 days' walk from here. Sarah frowned slightly. Humans? Will they take us? Jack shook his head. They'll listen, to me, and if they don't, I'll make them listen, she smiled. They began walking later that day. Jack limped, Sarah leaned on him, and Kyle skipped ahead. The jungle seemed to move aside for them. The birds didn't fly away. Even the wind felt calmer. On the second night, they reached a ridge and saw the outpost below, steel buildings, lights, antenna towers. It was quiet, peaceful. Cale's eyes widened. Will we be safe there? Jack nodded. I'll make sure of it. When they arrived, the guards at the gate pointed their rifles in confusion. One of them stepped forward, recognizing Jack. Jack, Morgan, we thought you were dead. Jack raised a hand. Almost. He looked at Sarah and Cale beside him. She's coming in too. Both of them. No questions. The guard looked uncertain. She's alien. Jack's face hardened. She's family. The guard looked into Jack's eyes and backed away. Yes, sir. They were given shelter. Sarah was treated by human medics. Kyle was given food and warm blankets. Jack rested in a real bed, and, for the first time in weeks, he didn't sleep with one eye open. The next morning, Sarah sat beside Jack once more. I've never seen your kind like this, she whispered. You didn't just help us, you changed everything. Jack shrugged. Sometimes, one good person can break a 1,000-year curse. Kyle ran in, holding a drawing he made, stick figures of Jack, Sarah, and himself standing under a bright, yellow sun. He handed it to Jack proudly. This is us now, he said. Our family. Jack looked at the drawing for a long time. Yeah, he said softly. This is us now. Sarah leaned her head on Jack's shoulder, and for the first time all three of them felt it, not fear, not pain, but something stronger. Home.